Hello everybody, I'm Molten. I've been posting on it online for about 13 years now, however I haven't actually made proper YouTube videos before. I've always been a bit daunted by the process and unsure of where to start. I have uploaded a few speed paints, but that was nearly 10 years ago and a lot of stuff has changed for me. However, with my inability to access TikTok anymore, I figured why not give this a proper shot. I was dealing with major art block at the beginning of this year, which is unfortunately an annual occurrence. Something about January just tanks my inspiration. I cycle through possible things I could make a video about. While OCs are my most consistent source of art, I really didn't have ideas for anything to create and didn't want to force myself to make something I wouldn't be proud of or enjoy. I have gotten more into fandoms in the last 5 years in terms of making fan art, and I have quite a large catalog of fandoms that I've made fan art for. While I have a lot of fandoms that I have had a major impact on my personal creation and stories, there is one specific fandom that predates any others and was the true start of my digital art journey. Warrior Cats ruled my life in elementary and middle school. I'd always been a reader, and funny enough I stumbled onto Warriors during my binge reading of Magic Treehouse. But Warriors was just so different, and it was exactly what I wanted. The drama, the emotions, the characters, the content that was questionable to introduce to children but nonetheless was not uncommon to find in books about animal societies. These books managed to bring me to tears on several occasions and still include scenes that give me chills to think about even 18 years down the line. I'm going to go into this with the belief that most people know the general plot of Warriors, and let it be known that my focus is going to be on characters from Arc 1, The Prophecy Begins. However, I do want to give a bit of context for my history with the series and a brief explanation of the setting I've envisioned. Over the past 11 years, I've had several iterations of Warrior Cats as humans, with 2019 being my most recent and still current setting for the characters. The setting is a post-apocalyptic meets fantasy. Something happened centuries ago, long enough for no one to have a real written log of what it was, but monsters now roam the world, leading to most humans hiding away in fortified cities. Within these cities, the upper class thrive, while the lower class barely manage to make ends meet. Many low-class citizens will sell themselves or their family into servitude, or even offer their children up for adoption to the wealthy elite in the hopes that they may have a better life than their parents before them. Adoption doesn't guarantee a good life, it's more like a hope or a wish. The citizens also have access to guns and other advanced weapons that make it much easier to keep monsters at bay, and the city within peaceful and uneventful. Outside the walls, there are still societies that exist. However, many die young to the creatures that lurk, the illnesses that normally are much less deadly within the cities, and general starvation during winter months. Guns are largely unheard of due to ammo for them being almost impossible to come by. Instead, they favor much more old-school approaches to weaponry. However, due to the many generations they've spent in the wilds, their abilities have become almost superhuman. They've honed themselves into warriors to be feared. This is where we place our story, and what better way to start than with the man himself. I've always had a pretty strong idea of what I wanted Firestar to look like. My very first pass at him, he had short hair. However, by the time I started drawing digitally, his long hair was cemented. The book's always fixated on his fur, and I like the idea of him having this long, beautiful hair that caught the eye of those around him, especially when the light illuminated it. His eyes are intended to be so vibrantly green that they invoke the image of a sunlit forest and bring a calming aura to him. That said, there are things I've changed about him over the years. For one, I like the idea of him being relatively short, a man carried not by his stature, but by his imposing presence, by the way he speaks and the emotions he can elicit from a few minutes of company. He is almost delicate in appearance, leading some to doubt his capabilities, though him beating this doubt informs his opponents and those around him to refrain from jumping to conclusions again. For the uniforms, I opted to base them off army attire. I thought the camo would be perfect for the blending into the forest idea, and it could be changed seasonally to keep up with the visuals of the world around them. His jacket actually has a story behind it, but That will be saved for a later date. Specifically, I wanted to draw him as a leader to the clan because it allowed me to mess around a bit with his adult look and think more about what a gathering outfit would look like for a leader of the clan. I definitely want to eventually go back and change things up a bit with his gathering outfit, but for now, this works. I should add, in my concepts, I'm working between the gathering either being something that takes a day or two to reach, making it something that happens every 2 to 3 months instead of monthly or, every full moon, or something that happens a few hours away with the groups driving in. Either way, it's an event where any who go in are forbidden from having weapons, though there are people brought along to stand guard and prepare for monster attacks. Their outfits are meant to resemble something like a Sunday best look, really emulate the no violence allowed. It's impossible to do something Firestar related and not include Graystripe. I say this after neglecting to draw him for almost 10 years. Sorry, but I never got around to your 2019 look. Graystripe is similar to Firestar in me always having a pretty strong idea for how I wanted to depict him. In fact, I'd argue his visual has changed even less than Firestar's has. A common through line with these kids is me simply updating and improving on the base I started with back in 2014. For Graystripe, a major change with him that started around 2016 was wanting to make him bulky. The books mentioned him being bigger, but I wanted to emphasize him having some muscle and fat, kind of standing a bit taller than most characters in the cast. He's not the tallest by any means, but stand him next to Firestar and you'll see a noticeable difference. I thought him having a rounder face and beard would also lead to a more jovial and soft look that played into this kind of jokester best friend situation that he had been put into in the books. I think one thing about drawing these characters that should be noted is I tend to struggle with characters looking the same. Consistency in their faces is my enemy in many cases. Even still, I really do like how Graystripe turned out. His gathering outfit ends up being the basis for others going forward, even more than Firestar's was. Fun little tidbit as well, because I know we'll get to her eventually. I mentioned Graystripe not being the tallest. Well, there might be a chance of Silverstream having more height than him, possibly. I guess we'll see when we get there, won't we? Hopefully I did him justice for his fans out there. He was a lot of fun to draw, and I really like how his body type turned out. His face, I need more work on though. I have a strong adoration for Sandstorm. I love the Woman in Warriors a lot, even if the writers don't, and Sandstorm is always going to hold a special place in my heart. Her design consistently has been one of my favorites regardless of when I drew the characters. Over time, the consistent thing about her is me putting my favorite design bits into her creation. For Sandstorm, I wanted to find a bridge between femininity and masculinity, not because I want Sandstorm to be more masculine, but because I definitely think due to how insecure she can be in the main canon, it would make a lot of sense for her to downplay being a woman, especially at the beginning when she's the only female apprentice we know of. By this, I specifically mean within ThunderClan. For a while, we didn't even have any other female apprentices, I think almost until Cinderpelt gets introduced. Either way, as Sandstorm gets older, I do like to think that she kind of embraces her femininity more, but there is still things she holds on to that she simply likes. Her cutting her hair short to avoid having to manage it being one thing. Another is her wanting to be physically stronger than anyone else in the clan to simply prove she's better. Her design is also the first instance of me introducing the concept of various groups having technology that requires electricity. I liked each of the clans having something that they are known for. In ThunderClan's case, it's harnessing electricity in their inventions to try and push what they can create. Every group has someone that can work on vehicles, but true invention to this degree is ThunderClan specific. Sandstorm gets thunder gauntlets because I love her dearly and she looks too cool with them for me to deny her. Her having a crop top may be ridiculous, but now it means that anyone can have one. I also don't want to cover up her abs if I don't have to. Sometimes, rule of cool is fine, children. Spottedleaf has always been severely neglected by me. She embodies the age-old dead wife trope that I do not like, in spite of her never having been properly in a relationship with Firestar in the first place. She never really gets to exist as a character, and that really sucks. The only time we get her as a sentient being is in the "No, I swear she's not being groomed, they're cats" book. I personally like the idea of her existing in a state of benevolence and almost deification to the readers, because Firestar is a child when he meets her, and she's so sweet and perfect. If after her death we come to truly understand her and see her flaws and her depth beyond the kindness and being gentle and breakable, I guess, it could have been made for an interesting arc. In my rewrite, Spottedleaf dies when Firestar is like 14 and she's 39. There's never a romance. Instead, she operates more as just a safe adult for Firestar to have in his life, who treats him like a kid and helps him find normalcy. For her main outfit, I took a lot of inspiration from plague doctors. I think their outfits fit in this realm of fantastical and historical that works super well with the setting I'm envisioning. They wear their masks during green cough season and only ever take off their uniforms to sleep or visit Moonstone. As it's a religious journey, I opted to refer to them as pilgrimages. Medics wear white and very pale colors of their respective clans. For Spottedleaf, I wanted to toe the line of her and Sandstorm looking similar enough to know that they're related, while also avoiding Sandstorm being a carbon copy of her. It'd be weird in the grand scheme of things with Firestar having a potential crush on her and everything like that. I do like how she turns out. I think I could push it more though in the future. I'm going to be honest, this was my favorite group of drawings I did this video. Yellowfang, once again, is a favorite design of mine. She's always been pretty popular, even back when my art was far more rough. As I've grown as an artist, the main thing I wanted to do was really make sure to display her age and veer away from trying to keep her conventionally attractive. Now, don't get it twisted, I adore how she looks. She looks cool, and the smell of cigarettes, while it makes me nauseous, I'm nothing if not a sucker for a character drawn with one. I wanted her to have a look that kids would find intimidating. Gave her a missing tooth and tattoos. I know in canon she's simply incredibly fluffy, but Yellowfang being fat is just perfect to me. She looks like a unit. She looks unmovable and powerful, yet even still, she is just a person, an old woman who makes it by largely by being more imposing than others around her. I do want to add in my rewrite, the clans are a lot bigger to avoid the potential incest pitfalls, and the whole medic dies and now we have no one to save us plotlines. They can work for cats, but for humans, I think it's a different story. Head medics choose their successors from a lineup of their underlings. Yellowfang never got to, so Running Nose taking over is understandably baffling. It also indicates Broken Star intentionally choosing the one person he knows won't stand up to him. I like to imagine Spottedleaf being head medic, even at her young age, is just further showcases her skill and ingenuity. More than one medic might also have to do with me being set on a bit of a list of characters I'm imagining in the role. We'll get there later, though. For now, yeah, I really like how she turned out, and I hope you do too. Last but not least, you really think I'd do a design video of Arc 1 characters and not include the man who made a whole generation of kids rage? Tigerstar left his mark on all readers of Warriors, whether it's for his fantastic villain story or the impact of his horrific death scene. He's a memorable villain I doubt anyone can forget. For him, my main focus wasn't making him scary, it was making him attractive. A man charming and beloved enough to manipulate everyone into believing he only wanted the best for his clan. A unit who might be imposing due to his stature and muscles for those not within his clan, but a beacon of safety for those who know him closely. Honestly, I have a strong affinity for Tigerstar's family. It's a personal bias because one of my favorite characters in the entire series is in it. Yeah. But we'll get there later. I love thinking about the complexity of his relationship with the clan and his children, what sort of dynamic him and Goldenflower had while they were a couple. I'm not going to baby him and try to excuse any of the actions he does, so don't worry about that. More so, I just like nuanced and bittersweet connections. For this video, I focused on his deputy looks. The fabric wrapped around his neck on the gathering outfit, I think fits really well as a thing being worn by deputies of the clan. You can't quite see it, but he also has something hanging around his neck from a chain. What is that? Something for a bit of a later date, but a bit of world building I wanted to include. I'll leave you with this fun fact. Tigerstar is one of the 3 characters I have a voice headcanon for. Points for anyone who can guess who the other 2 are. Bonus if you can figure out who the voice is. Yeah, but either way, I like how he turned out. Definitely do want a bit more time to focus on his face later, though. This video ended up being a bit longer than I initially intended, but I hope that all of you who stuck around enjoyed what I brought out. I hope the designs fit the characters in your mind. I personally really like them. I have a lot of designs from 2019, a lot of ideas for how I translate this story into a medium with people, just a lot of things stewing that have been stewing for 10 years. I do think it would be a fun thing to do more of these soon, but I tend to bounce around with what I get fixated on. We'll see what happens. If I do get around to doing more videos like this, what are some other Arc 1 characters you guys would like to see? I have a few ideas lined up, but I am curious about other things people are interested in. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Sorry if my rambling was a lot. I tend to yap. Hope you guys have a good day.